Okay, so we're at our Rotary meeting here. We're going to open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to go back to sharing our meeting. Christine, if you could please join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
With liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Christine. Moment of reflection today is one of my favorites. I had the opportunity to have or to listen to an old pastor of mine, and this is one of his favorite quotes as well, and he mentioned it in his sermon this week. It's a Wendell Berry quote: "Invest in the millennium, plant sequoias, say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest." So what we do today has a significant impact on what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years, 100 years. So moving right along into Rotary song time. Figured it's a sunny day today. Let's have some fun. Here we go.
Don't be weary, just be cheery all day long. Trouble care may be more than you can really bear. And the world smiles with you, sing a song.
All right. So smiles on faces, everybody. It's a happy day. Introduction of our guests. Mr. Carl Flowers, would you please introduce our guests?
Good afternoon. The Rotary Club of Carbondale is always happy to have guests. The only guest that I see is our speaker, Ms. Nancy Maxwell, as well as our bag from the morning Rotary. Welcome. If there are others that I overlooked, I apologize, but I scanned everyone's photos and pictures and phones, and I didn't see anyone else. So welcome to RBEC and to Nancy Maxwell.
Thank you, Carl. Club announcements. We're still working on the 100 cards for hospitalized kids. If you could reach out to Cindy Buys by mid-August, if you would like to help out with that. We're looking to do 100 cards, things that you can write in those that admire their strength and praying for them, wishing good things for them. Those are for kids that are in hospitals around the region. Returning to normal operations. So we did get the survey back and the results are great that most of you would like to meet in person. We will figure out a way to do Zoom as well. So I'm figuring out some of the logistics with that, but I'm putting together a plan based on what our feedback was. It looks like we're going to do boxed lunches. There will not be a buffet style. So I'm reaching out to Patty Stokes on that to see if they can do something, and we might price out some other options as well. So I'm eyeing that for our August 5th meeting. I'd like to do it by the end of the month if we can get in for our club assembly on the 29th, but not sure if we're going to have approval from Superintendent Daniel Booth by then. But that's our current plan, is to be either the 29th or back in person on the 5th at the latest. So hopefully we'll be ready to go for that. Our foundation challenge, I want to thank the following individuals. Ginger is covering July, Brooke in August, Brad September, Sharon Harris Johnson October, Linda Meredith November, Gail White December. Moving into January, we've got Harvette Gray, Carl and Linda Flowers in February, Pam March, Christine April, and Shane in May. So at this point, we've already filled the next 12 months of Rotary year with our foundation donation challenge. So it's a $100 match for our club foundation. If you're interested in continuing this on, we've already done it for we've already got at least, I think, 18 months of this in. I think we started it in January of this year, so we're all the way through May. If you'd like to jump on that bandwagon and help us out, please let me know, let Jim Grant know, and we'll make sure that we get your name on the list and get your month covered. So thank you to the 5 individuals that have already jumped up for 2021. So thank you all very much. Service projects in progress are Mass for Haiti project. We announced last week that those had arrived. Ella Lacey, do you have anything to add for that as we move forward with that project?
Only to say that the t-shirts are coming in, and we're still planning on doing the basic part so that we get the mask cut out and to a group in Haiti, in Pignon. But the t-shirts are coming in, so if you have more t-shirts, don't let the outside people be ahead of you. We got 50 to 100 already.
Well, that's great. I've been making masks. I made my own mask here at home out of a t-shirt. I find them to be very comfortable, and out of an extra large t-shirt, I don't know if you're not gonna be able to see my screen unless I change it. But you can probably get 3 or 4 masks out of an extra large t-shirt. So
Okay, you will be our #1 demonstrator. All right, sounds great. We'll let you know.
all right, sounds good. SIH employee food drive. Cindy Buys and Joe Gobert, we're heading that up. I don't see either one of them on the call today, but I know that that's still ongoing. Carbondale Warming Center lunch sponsorship project. I did not receive a message from Patty Stokes today regarding what the menu is, but we're continuing that project while we're not meeting in person, and we'll discuss as we move forward and start meeting in person what we're going to do there. But we've been providing lunch for over 13 weeks now. Carbondale Warming Center Material Assistance Project. I think we're in week 6 or 7 of this project already. I've got 6 additional shelves that I'm working with a local community member that we're picking up tomorrow, potentially, as long as I can confirm that with him. He'd like us to get them this week. So he's got 6 shelves for us to start and maybe more. Big thank you to Sierra, Illini Care Health, for working with SIU Athletics to get a water purifier over there. Dr. Linda Flowers, Dr. Carl Flowers, getting microwave ovens over there. They're always looking for paper towels, cups, bowls, non-perishables, things like that, and donations of funds. The other thing that I'm championing as part of our 100 Little Things is blankets. I donated 9 blankets a week or so ago, and they're happy to take those. They'll launder them and make sure they're ready to go so that when it does get colder, they've got blankets. If you have extra blankets laying around, please let me know, let Gail know. You can drop them off right over at the warming center, and they're happy to take them. Gail, do you have anything else with that project?
Yeah, I talked to Carmelita, and they could use box fans. I know that they're will be coming up soon to needing blankets, but at the moment, they could use box fans to help with the ventilation in the building. So if you have one or would like to donate one.
Yeah, it's definitely warm over there at this time. So warming center's plenty warm for now. Women for Change Surfing in the Summer. Faith Miller had sent this in last week. Any food you've got that you would be willing to donate there? I've got Sierra jumping into the meeting here. Great. Faith, do you have anything you want to add for this right now?
Yeah, I did check on them last, what day was that? Last Friday. And everything is going along well. They still are, looking for people to come in with donations because that's slowed down some. They will take whatever. They did stress needing the juice boxes or bags or Capri Sun type of juices and items for the weekend bags. So anything you can donate on that list would be awesome. And they're also taking the names of the donors. I did I didn't get the names, but I am kind of checking to see if my fellow Rotarians are stepping up. Some of you did say that you were going to donate some items, so I don't know if you got over there yet, but do make sure that they get your name recorded so you can be properly thanked, and then that could go towards our 100 little things, so we can tick some of those things off the list. But donating is not to just tick stuff off the list, to be clear. So they need some items.
They need items. We want to make sure we recognize our Rotarians if they are assisting. So if you are helping out with that, please let me know, and we'll get that. We'll get it updated on our 100 Little Things board when we get back to meeting in person. All right. Speaking of our 100 Little Things, we're up to 20 projects completed now. We've had over 100 shelves donated. That's individual shelves, not shelving units. 100 crayons. We've got 100 counted with the census. 100 new voters, 100 pencils that have all been done in the last couple of weeks here. It's a great job, everybody, for 100 things, and we're basically a month into that project, and we've got 20 of them already finished, which is fantastic. 24 more things on our list are underway. So we've got blankets and coats and flashlights, 100 years, the Harvey Welch Scholarship. So keep working on those. If you've got another project on our list, you can visit our Rotary of Carbondale website under the Centennial tab to see the other projects that we have on our list. Here's another 12 items that are underway. Everything from donuts to the police and fire departments to sanitizers to eyeglasses being collected. Please let me know if you're able to help out with one of these, and we'll get you down as a champion for more of these items. Good news. Now it's time for your good news. Who's got some good news to share?
Hey everybody, this is Sierra. My good news for today is my son's birthday is tomorrow. He'll be turning 5, and then my birthday is Sunday, and I'll be turning an age. So that's my good news.
Well, I have some fun news. I think it's kind of good news, not applicable in Carbondale, but still fun. This past, WSIU has a new program on called Illinois Stories, and it's mostly about interesting places in central Illinois. And this past Sunday, they had one, at least that's when we watched it, that highlighted a nature preserve that's operated by Lincoln College. It's called Sugar Creek, I believe, and it's near that creek where they discovered mastodon bones a few years ago. And they have an insectarium, a place where they foster insects that are beneficial to the prairie. And they also have a prairie restoration project. But what's interesting about the insectarium is it was funded by the Rotary Club of Lincoln. So I just thought that was a fun connection to something that's pretty unique. And if you can ever get to see it, it looks like it's a really, really interesting place.
Well, my good news is that I went camping this weekend. I had a great time with a couple friends. Was able to relax. If you find it, there's a picture of me napping in a chair. So that's how much I enjoyed and was able to relax this weekend. So I was able to get out camping this weekend, even though it was hot. Had a good time. So I highly encourage getting outside if you can, even though it's hot. Fresh air is good for you.
Rick, this is Ginger.
Excuse me.
And my good news is my oldest daughter is going to, she's pregnant and going to have a baby, my first. So I'm going to turn into a grandma.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I am going to give Jim a check for $80, but don't get too bright an idea. This may be multiplied by 1.5 or 2 or something. My birthday was Monday. Did you hear me?
Happy birthday.
1.5 would be 120.
I'll give Jim $80. All right.
Can't wait.
Well, I had a birthday in June that I missed, and I'm going to be sending a check for $75, but I'm not telling you how old I am.
Who is that?
This is Gayla.
Was that rounded up or rounded down to 75?
I'm not saying.
Anyone else with good news for the day? Okay, we'll move right along in our meeting here. Sergeant at Arms, Gail White substituting today. The floor is yours.
Well, as I announced last week, I'm monitoring everybody's good works and will issue get out of jail cards to anyone who is caught doing a good deed during the month of July. So I've added Sierra to the list today for completing the water dispensary project for the warming center. And I'm going to continue keeping the list. So if you've done something that you're not reporting publicly in our meeting, please let me know so I can add you to our list, and I'll turn that over to Will once we resume meeting in person and he can resume his active duty.
Thank you, Gail. It's time for our guest speaker, Ms. Nancy Maxwell of Carbondale United. I'd like me to allow you to share your screen, Nancy, or are you good to just speak?
Unfortunately, I didn't get that far with the PowerPoint. I thought I had a little bit more time because it wasn't quite 1 o'clock. So I'm just gonna wing it.
Okay.
My name is Nancy Maxwell, and I'm the founder of Carbondale United. And I'm gonna just give you a little background on the beginning of Carbondale United. It started with a Facebook post. And I made this post. I'm so saddened by all the deaths of the young teens in Carbondale lately. Teens that have not even reached adulthood, ones that are just getting started in life and then have that life cut down like a tree in a forest. This needs to stop. This is us killing us for what? This young man in the picture is wearing a t-shirt I made for him for his cousin's funeral. And today, just a mere 4 months later, I'm making this shirt for him. So I posted that up and I got into like a debate with a couple of people about what I said. And later on that night, I thought about it. I'm like, okay, we debated about it. We talked about it. I made this post, but how did that really help the situation? So the next day I made another post. I said, today I went and bought a bucket, a new bucket. It doesn't have a hole in it. I have to practice what I preach. I want to fill this bucket full of ideas to help the youth in the community. I want to fill this bucket with people to provide those ideas and the power to make those goals a reality. I want to fill this bucket full of youth that are looking for change, looking for answers. I posted up yesterday about a 16-year-old who got shot and killed. I spoke how these killings need to stop. I debated with one of my colleagues about it. But what we didn't do is put something down about how to stop it. So we know what the problem is. Now we need to focus on how to begin to solve it. I love the Women's Center story about a group of women seeing a problem with domestic violence and got together and brought a house and started an agency. They saw an issue and they put some action with it. I say, as a community, what can we do? How can we start? How we can get a meeting going? How can we put some action to it? It takes one action to bring a reaction. Rosa Parks wouldn't get out of her seat, and that started a movement. Can I hear back from some organizations, some sororities, fraternities, city officials, NAAC, Boys and Girls Club, SIU, Women for Change, Tag anyone and everybody who will be interested in contributing to this cause. Remember, we are the change we're looking for. So a lot of people responded and they said, okay, well, where are we going to meet at? And the African American Museum donated their spot. And we had our first meeting at that spot. And that's how Carbondale United sort of got its beginning. And that just happened in November of 2019. Since then, we're on our third virtual summit for the teens that are at home. We've done one about Stop the Violence. This one that's coming up July 30th will be about self-care. And the first one was just like an introduction to the summits and to what Carbondale United is ultimately trying to reach out. Our goals we're ultimately trying to reach. We've also, in addition to the summits, we've helped or hosted marches. We hosted 2 marches that were in the vehicles for people who can't march or had small kids or had issues with COVID. I believe both of those marches were very successful. And we also held the event on July 7th, which was Blackout Day, a boycott where we were asked to shop with Black businesses only, which is very successful. And I'm currently, or Carbondale United is currently working on doing that event once again. Right now, we are also working towards going to become a non-for-profit. And I'm working on completing the 501c certification. So that's a little bit about Carbondale United. Did anybody have any questions that they might like to ask me about our agency?
Nancy, Christine McGuire here. When you have these virtual programs for the younger people, how do you find them and get them to participate?
Well, the good thing about Carbondale United is a conglomerate of groups, and the high school and District 95 are a part of Carbondale United. So they assisted us with notification to the teens through their school system. They sent out, the first one was there prior to school ending. So when they sent homework home, they also sent information about our first summit that we did. And we have continued along that path since then. If there are no more questions.
Nancy, you got a pretty diverse and interesting background. Can you tell the club where you got a lot of stuff going on. I'm so impressed by that. So can you highlight some of that for me?
Okay, currently I work at the Women's Center. I'm a rape crisis advocate and counselor. And I also head up a lot of the community outreach projects that are done here. And in that role, I also have an office at the Irma Hayes building where I do a women's group and a group for children. And before, in the past, when we could utilize the whole building, we would have back to school bashes and fall fest and different other activities. Right now, we're kind of limited to what I can do from Irma Hayes since the board has had a turnover in the last 3 years. We're not allowed to use most parts of the building. Also in a criminal justice chair for NAACP, a role that I just stepped in and was just part of hosting the recent town police meeting on Zoom. I'm sorry, somebody texted something, I got to read it. I was set on a panel at the town hall that was hosted on Zoom here recently, and I'm part of the process of planning the next town hall meeting that we will be having with the police and with the city officials. And of course, I'm the founder of Carbondale United. So I kind of run that too. So I kind of wear a lot of hats. Plus I'm a mother and I have my own business on the side too. So I'm multitask. I'm also a former Cook County Deputy Sheriff.
There you go. That's what I want you to say.
Mounds police officer. And at one time before I got in law enforcement, I was actually a private detective. So that's my background there.
Nancy, can you tell us, first off, great job. I think it's fantastic that you've been able to create a civil discourse or civil conversations among different groups, which unfortunately in today's day and age, there's a lot of yelling and screaming, and it doesn't seem like people come to the table ready to have conversations. Can you tell us a little bit more about the town hall meeting? I know I wasn't able to attend because I had another engagement that evening, but I'm really interested to find out kind of how that went and where things are going to go from here.
Well, how that went is a lot of the questions, some of the questions got answers. We promised that all questions would get answers, so therefore there will be a town hall too. I felt some of the responses to the questions were not transparent enough. And I think that when we come back to the table, that the chief of police, the police department, the state's attorney, the city manager, they need to be more transparent and more open to change, because some things I feel, in my opinion, are ready. We're ready now to see those changes occur and to help the community thrive better. One of the suggestions was to do a peer mentor program with the police and children, but I feel that's a little soon for that. Right now, many children, especially Black children, have a fear of the police. So I don't think that would happen automatically. That would be something that would have to be built up to. So I would say the town hall went pretty good, but I don't think we can just stop at that one town hall. We have to continue on this path to come to some type of meeting of the minds.
Nancy, since you mentioned the police, are you working with the police on structuring some sort of specialized training for them so that they can be active participants in fixing the problem?
No, not at this time. I'm not. From what I gather from Chief Grubbs, that they're attending certain trainings. In my personal opinion, since I've been on both sides as an officer and as a citizen, is the police, one, can't do it all. And there have been a lot of talk about defund the police, which is not course, mean get rid of the whole police department, but to provide other services within the police department. Because I'm a counselor with rape crisis. Maybe if I got called out instead of the police with a rape victim, that interaction might go better. I have the knowledge about sexual assault that they don't. So I can see where defunding the police in some portion, and as many cities over the country are doing right now, will be helpful. That would be a big thing, because the police don't cover everything. They're not trained. I went to the academy for 4 months. There's no way I can learn about every situation out here that I need to handle. So I feel like that the police get overwhelmed at times. And I do feel like the police department needs to get diversified more, that there need to be Black officers available.
And more women.
I agree. More women. Yes.
Perhaps bilingual wouldn't help. Or wouldn't hurt.
Bilingual would be
Wouldn't
good.
hurt, I mean.
Yeah, and all in all, the police department needs to be diverse, and it's not just stopping at the police department. It's the school, it's mental health facilities. There's not a lot for the children in the Black community to identify with. For example, if I went to see a counselor, I don't want to have to explain what I'm going through as a Black person. I need to talk to somebody who already knows what that is, and maybe we can then proceed to what other issues I'm having. So there's not really an agency down here that has a lot of counselors or psychiatrists of color available. So it's not just the police department that needs changing. It's a lot of places that needs change.
Nancy, I know every community is different in terms of needs and resources. Are there any communities that you look to as sort of maybe a model or an example that is farther along the path of bringing some of these concerns to a positive resolution?
Not that I'm aware of. I see some communities at the beginning process of making that change, but to my knowledge, I don't know where that has been successfully completed as of yet.
I know, Gail, I've read, and Nancy and others, I've read where Dallas has had some success with having social workers kind of ride along with the police officers to try to help de-escalate some intense situations. A lot of times, if you have a mental health issue, like Nancy was saying, you know, people are going to jail or arrested for having a mental health issue. So if you can kind of de-escalate, you know, some of those. And I don't know if the police department still has the ride-along program. I know they still have Citizens Police Academy, but since the pandemic, I don't know where they are with that or how they're still working with that, because I have done that when they first had the program, and you know, it helps to kind of get inside, you know, the police department and get to know them on somewhat of a more personal level, where they're just kind of opening up the department and saying, here, this is what we got, kind of saying, this is, you know, how we handle certain things. And this was before they built the facility that used to be Lincoln Middle School.
So
I know some recent participants for the program, but I don't know if they still have the ride-along program or not.
The only program I'm aware of that they still have, and I wish Jeff Grubbs was on the call and we could ask him. I've talked to him and another member of the department. They have a program for, I believe it's just seniors in high school. It might be juniors as well, that are interested in joining the police force, that they're able to do ride-alongs and kind of a job shadow type program. But other than that, I'm not sure of any other specific programs that they have.
Nancy, what do you see as kind of the next step or envision over the next year? And what's the sense that we're moving, what's the kind of benchmarks that we're moving in the right direction?
Well, that would start with the police department, I feel, and getting some diversity in there. And when I say diversity, the police department is going to have some. When I was a police officer, it was no different. The treatment was no different of me being a Black person on the street than the Black person in that uniform. And that is something that has to be looked at as well, is once you get these officers in here, what kind of programs or bounds are you going to have to help them in this position? Because there was no help for us as far as being a police officer. And it's one of the reasons why I resigned, because not only am I not getting help, I'm getting oppressed in the police department, but I can't help anybody else either. And I got in social work instead because I can help. I can help here. I can step in. So that will be one of the things that I see is diversity programs, like Faith was saying. I also worked, I done had 100 jobs, y'all, so I done worked everywhere. But I also worked as a correctional officer at one time, even down in this area in Ullen. And we would get so many mental health patients down there to watch. Well, that's basically what we were doing, we're watching. They weren't getting help. They weren't getting medication. They wasn't talking to a psychiatrist. They couldn't handle them as Schultz. They brought them to the jail and plopped them out there, and that was the end of it. And that's something that I would really like to see change. Mental health facilities and agencies are very short in this area, period. And that's a change I would like to see happen, most definitely. Because you have a mental health problem, you shouldn't end up in the jail. You should end up somewhere where you can get help.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thank you.
But as Faith was saying, I could really see, I work in the community and I know a lot of people in the community. And I believe if something happened, I could talk to someone and bring them down way better than a police officer could. And we wouldn't get to the point where somebody's laying on the ground dead. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So those are the type of changes I would like to see us progressing to.
I agree.
Nancy,
yes.
Since you've been a police officer and been through the training, you think that the training needs to be improved and changed?
Yes, it does. I remember the only thing I learned about domestic violence in the academy was that's a civil matter, and we don't handle that. And way more training should have been put towards handling a domestic violence situation. And oh, don't worry about it. Just tell people it's a civil matter. We don't handle that. They need to go to court or something. It should be, the training should be way more far advanced than that. I think the length of time that you're in the academy it takes 1,500 hours or something like that to be a hairdresser. It takes way less time in training than that to be a police officer. And I think that definitely needs to be expanded and changed and increased.
It's interesting about domestic violence. One of my staff members' husband is a police officer, and they've been responding, and that's been documented that there have been more responses or increase in domestic violence cases for police to handle during this pandemic. Since the pandemic, that's been on the uprise.
Now, maybe this is, if you could give a brief response to this, as you've heard about the culture within the police department, and it can be the culture within any organization.
Yeah.
Can you, just as a police officer and now counselor, reflect on the culture within the police department and what needs to change and how to change it?
Actually, the culture is we stick together no matter what. I don't care if you're right or wrong. It's called a blue blood, blue wall. That was the culture. I seen for the first time ever that culture broken when several officers spoke out against the officers that killed George Floyd. So I see that there is a change there, because usually you don't say anything if you value your job or value not having an even harder time to perform your job if you go against the grain. So to see officers do that, I seen an ad on post on Facebook where they were posting their picture and said that they did not agree with what happened and that they are George Floyd. And they asked any officers, retired or not, to do that. And I most definitely posted up my picture in uniform saying, I am George Floyd. So that is a big change right there. That is a incredibly big change. And more of that needs to continue to happen. You can't keep turning a blind eye, especially to somebody who's sworn to serve and protect, and they're not doing that what they swore to. They're not helping the community like that.
Thank you.
Just bad.
Well, do we have any other questions for Ms. Maxwell today?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Carbondale United has a Facebook page, and you can go to the Carbondale United Facebook page, and you can look at a recording of the virtual summits that have been held recently. And the past two have had some of our teenagers in the community to speak, and they did absolutely a wonderful job speaking. And so we hear all the bad things that the kids are doing, and the good things don't get publicized. But if you want to see some of the good things the kids are doing, go to the Facebook page and look at some of those recordings.
It's true. And one story from the Blackout Tuesday, where we had Black businesses selling things, is the children listen to the speakers, and then they got candy and stuff, and they sit at a little table and they start opening it. The little girl told me, I'm opening my own business like I just heard. And they were selling the candy that they had gotten. I thought that was like a really good example of that what we did was really helpful and insightful to the children.
Anyone else? I'd like to thank you, Nancy, for joining us today, and for all the work you're doing in our community. As somebody who will never understand what the Black community's been through, and growing up in a community that was I'll call it very white bread, it's been very eye-opening through these last couple months, especially to see what is happening. And I greatly appreciate the change that is coming, and the vocality of many, including yourself. So thank you for, as the quote today said, plant sequoias. And thank you for putting in the hard work today that will affect the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
Hey.
Hey, thank you for having me, and I enjoy coming, and anytime I'll come again.
I'm going to go back to sharing the screen here, and we will continue on with our regular meeting. Dr. Flowers, could you share with us who is our speaker next week? You're muted right now.
I'm muted, and I don't have my calendar up.
You've told me previously, and I couldn't find it in my notes either. So I know we have a speaker next week, but I forgot who it was. So I'll make sure that we put that out in an email here or a post. The following meeting on the 28th, I believe it's the 28th, the last Wednesday of the month, is our club assembly. Ideally, we'll be in person for that meeting, but we'll keep everyone posted on how our plan gets accepted by the
29.
the 29th. Sorry, my dates are off. Yeah, 22 plus 9 is not 8, so that's the 29th. So 29th will be club assembly. If we can be in person, we will be, per everyone's responses to the survey that was sent out. So thank you, Sierra, for putting together that survey and getting it out to everybody and getting those quick responses.
Rick,
Yes.
I just want to ask one thing. I see that y'all gave out a lot of information about places that need donations. I run several places. I'm like the social media queen. If you had that in a list for me, I could post that in the many places that I do on social media to help get a response back.
Okay. We'll see what we can do there.
Okay, appreciate it.
The big ones right now, this meeting will be recorded and posted on our YouTube page.
Okay.
Okay, so next week we have the director of the Jackson County Health Department that will be joining us for that meeting. I will not be here for that meeting. I have a conference that I'll be at. I'm going to try to sneak into the meeting, but I'm not sure I'll be able to. But the director of the Jackson County Health Department next week, I'll make sure I put that in my notes this time. And now it is time for the four-way test. Mr. Gil Kronig, would you please lead us in the four-way test?
The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth?
The truth.
Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it be beneficial to concerned?
Build friendship.
And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for joining me today. And if you'd like to stay on the call and chat for a little bit longer, I'm happy to stay on.